Let me tell you about our trip to Normandy. For Americans who haven't been, Normandy, of course, is synonymous with D-Day, site of the largest seaborne invasion in history, and a place where thousands of soldiers were killed on June 6th of 1944. But to visit the region will make everything you've ever heard and been taught about it so much more real, and it'll change what you think of when you think of Normandy. To start, it is a beautiful, rural seaside region a few hours north of Paris that holds so much charm and intrigue, not to mention countless ways to learn about the history and soak up the significance of the region and the major historical events that took place there. I honestly didn't expect my daughters, two American teenage girls, to connect much with a war that happened decades before they were born in a country halfway around the world. But they did. They loved it. And we fell in love with the region too. It's an amazing place to visit with or without kids. In this video, I'll share my top 5 tips for visiting Normandy. But first, if you love to travel and you want to hear more, please consider subscribing to my channel. On to those tips. My first would be to definitely rent a car. Normandy's a pretty big region, just under 12,000 square miles, and it's about a 3-hour drive from Paris. So we picked up a rental car just outside of Paris and headed north. With only 2 short days, it was a marathon of memorials and museums, but it's a trip that we will never forget and one that's definitely worth making, even if you only have a couple days. On the drive, I would suggest brushing up on your World War II history. There are a ton of kids' books about the D-Day invasions that you can get ahead of time, and a plethora of podcasts that you can listen to on the drive. It's a great refresher that'll just help you gain a better understanding of the region and of the events surrounding D-Day. And it was a great opportunity while we're all trapped in the car together to talk to our girls about World War II and about D-Day and what they were going to see. My next tip, make sure to visit at least one of the 5 D-Day landing beaches. They cover a 50-mile stretch of the Normandy coastline. American soldiers landed at Utah and Omaha beaches, so we stopped at Omaha Beach. And after listening to podcasts and watching a movie the night before our trip, it was a surreal and honestly a really moving experience. Worth taking a minute to sit on the beach and soak in the significance of the land you're on and what happened there. While you're there, you won't want to miss the American Cemetery. It sits high on a bluff overlooking Omaha Beach and contains the graves of more than 9,000 American soldiers who died on D-Day and in the days and the months after. There are an additional 1,600 names on the walls of the missing. It's a powerful place that provides a visual reminder of just how many lives were lost during the Battle of Normandy. Aside from visiting the beaches and the cemetery, definitely check out some of the museums in the region. While my girls aren't always interested in spending a day touring exhibits, they were fascinated by the history and the experience provided at some of the museums in Normandy. And a lot of them have really interactive, cool experiences for kids that were a lot of fun for all of us. We especially loved the Airborne Museum in the charming town of Sainte-Mère-Église, I think I said that right, Sainte-Mère-Église, near Utah Beach. It was the first town liberated by American paratroopers, and the museum itself faces the church where Private John Steele was famously caught hanging from the bell tower by his parachute. After trying for 2 hours to cut himself free, he decided to play dead to avoid becoming more of a target, and eventually was rescued. So many fascinating stories that'll really bring the history to life for anyone who visits. As for the museum itself, some of the displays are really lifelike. You can actually climb aboard a real helicopter and sit next to life-size soldiers as the plane vibrates like you're flying, and you can see lights from the towns twinkling below. Kids can try out a parachuting simulation and follow a scavenger hunt through the museum, so it's really interactive, and there are a lot of ways that kids get very engaged in the museum. It was truly a really cool experience. My last tip would be to explore the historic towns, try the local cuisine, and soak in the beauty of the region. Normandy is truly a stunning place that I'd love to visit again when we can spend a little more time. There are also tours you can join that'll dive deeper into some of the history of the region and the war, but regardless of whether you choose to do it yourself or join a group, visiting Normandy is a really powerful experience. It's an opportunity to remember and pay tribute to all of those who fought for freedom, and to share this history with your kids who will undoubtedly learn about D-Day and World War II in school someday. Well, that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. Hit subscribe and let me know if there's somewhere that you would like to see a little more of, and I will see you next time.